writing on an ad hoc basis, and they might want to recruit them full-time if a blogger wants to. And then there's an incentive for mainstream media to raise their game, to become better journalists, to produce better material, because they're competing with the citizen journalists, or internally and externally. A couple of other points on here. Citizen journalism is where the eyes are. If advertisers want to advertise where people are looking on the web, user-generated content does get a majority of visits on websites, on news websites, as high as 60% in some cases. And in terms of actually getting citizen journalists to be involved in mainstream media rather than blogging independently, feedback, training, internships, things like that are very important. It's not just a case of build it and they will come. It's a case of build it, talk to the citizen journalists, get them involved, give them feedback, help them with training, maybe give them opportunities if they want to move into professional journalism, but generally enter into a dialogue. Don't just treat them as a raw resource that you're mining and exploiting. Some case studies. I don't know if the guy from this website is here and we can talk briefly about that, but this is a citizen journalism website in the Ukraine. The Stirrer is one from where I'm from in Birmingham. A former journalist set up on his own to report about what he saw as important issues in Birmingham, in England, and got lots of local contributors to contribute to that, and there's some really good stuff on there. This is a site in Belgium, a mainstream media site that's working with citizen journalists. Scoops you know about. The Teesside Gazette is in the northeast of England. This is a traditional newspaper, but they enlisted citizen journalists to report on very local, hyper-local areas of the area in Teesside. And it was so successful that they're now launching print versions of what was produced online. So that they're producing, if you like, hyper-local versions of the newspapers, which has proved very attractive to advertisers. Expatica.com is aimed at, is it produced by expats or it's for expats? For expats. Okay. Then we've got the Florida News Press, which used crowdsourcing to report on local water connection charges. And they got local engineers to look at blueprints, accountants to look at balance sheets. We got an inside whistleblower to leak some information. So that was an example of tapping into the power of citizens to report on a very important issue, which resulted in policy changes and personnel changes at the local council. And then we come back to this issue of trickle blogs. There was a website on the other laptop. Is it socialactivist? Online activism, that was it. If you do a search for online activism, hopefully, I think it's onlineactivism.wordpress.com. That talks about trickle blogs. This is where someone takes an issue and pursues it until it kind of gathers momentum and, if you like, becomes an issue. Finally, the impact of mobile phones on citizen journalism. I think we've all seen with Burma firsthand the kind of impact that it can have. There's a couple of aspects to this. The first is that although the government might try to shut down the internet, mobile phones to some extent allows people to get around that. It also gives access to new voices, voices that otherwise might not be able to access the internet, particularly in Africa, where computers aren't as widespread but mobile phones are, and it gives us as citizen journalists access to new voices as well. So there's new sources and new voices. But there's a kind of an ethical issue to this around privacy, around whether you're allowed to take footage of people without their permission, which again Scoops covered yesterday. And this kind of relates to to possible commercialisation of citizen journalism. If you're filming something or taking a picture of something, you have more of a commodity to sell there through Scoops or through the British equivalent, which is Scooped. And does that mean that you then start to chase for money like a professional journalist? What's happened in Britain is, with Scooped, is that it's become more a place where people take photos of celebrities and become paparazzi because that's what sells. And there's a danger with these revenue sharing models that might happen to some citizen journalism. And the other two major impacts are, generally it gives access to places that you might not otherwise have. The footage of the Saddam Hussein hanging is a good example of that. And secondly, speed. You can publish now much quicker just by text message or by email through your phone or by net connection via your phone. So it's quicker than having to go home and type it up on a blog. And there's a possibility, technically, that you might even get to a point where you're streaming. Effectively, you're broadcasting live from your mobile phone. So in the future, there's that impact of mobile phones on journalism. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.